Well, hi there. You're listening to Podcrashed, the podcast that can be a bit of a train wreck. Almost every week, your hosts, Anna and April, talk to a different guest about life, liberty, and the pursuit of all things random. Just like I'm gonna do, I hope you enjoy the next hour of this show.
Shut up, and sit down.
You say I'm annoying. Sorry, you never say I'm annoying. You just look at me like I'm annoying. There's a difference.
There's a difference. A major difference, Anna.
There's a difference.
Get it fucking right.
So, fun fact. So, I'm looking up the lady who directed Pitch Perfect 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first movie was Somebody. And then the second movie was Elizabeth Banks, because she was producer for the first... Well, she's been producer for all three, but third one's not her. It's Trish Saee. It's a British director whose other credits, other than Pitch Perfect 3, include 2 episodes of a British television show called Kirby Buckets.
Huh.
A short film, Step Up All In. Another short film, and then 3 OK Go music videos. Remember OK Go was the band that they had the music video where they were on the treadmills? Here it goes again. They're a band, there's 4 of them. They're like an actual band, they sing and play their own instruments, but all their music videos are always them in very choreographed dances. Much like a boy band, but they're not. Like, they're grown men who all look different. It's very interesting visual that they present, but they most famously have a video where it's them dancing off on treadmills and they're jumping off and on them, and yeah. But she directed those, apparently. It's always interesting when you see music video directors who direct movies, because it's a very different style. A lot of shorter scenes, a lot more visuals, less story, that kind of thing. So I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, I thought it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Really? Did you go that far?
I saw it twice.
Yeah, but okay. So it's not a surprise we're going to talk about Pitch Perfect 3.
Yep.
Which we both saw together.
And at least one of us loved.
Well, okay, so in the Pitch Perfect trilogy, where would you rank the third one?
Oh, up there.
So you wouldn't put it as number 3 in the trilogy?
No.
Where would you put it?
Well, I mean, story-wise? Well,
just overall.
Just overall.
If someone took all 3 movies and was like, what order would you prefer, what order would you rank them from best to worst overall?
1.
Really? You liked it more than the first movie?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. I really liked it.
Okay.
I assume that you disagree with that statement?
Well, I didn't dislike it. I liked that it was... See, I'm tricky, because I rank the first movie as the first one. And I don't know if I'm doing that just because it was the establishing movie and it was like what the concept of this whole movie was the universe was gonna be about.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my qualms with the first one. Like, I've gone on record to say that the Becca character in the first movie drives me insane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel any sympathy for her because she's a straight up bitch to everybody. I don't know, she's misunderstood and she just doesn't want to let friends in. Get over yourself, lady. Like, calm down. You know, like, there's other people in the world that have problems, and you don't even have problems. I'm so sorry you don't get along with your dad, and he refuses to pay for you to relocate so you can start a life.
Well, it sounds like she's mad at him because he got
Yeah, but she's taking it out being like, well, why don't you just pay for me to move instead of paying for me to go to college? And he's like, because I want you to go to college. It's like, you can just be like, peace out, Dad, I don't need anything from you. But she chooses to have a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is her own choice, so she shouldn't get mad at him for that. Anyway, that aside, I would put the first Pitch Perfect movie as number 1. I liked the elements of the second one, but I think it was too much of a trying to hold on to the parts of the first one that it couldn't, which is what I appreciated about the third one. is it was different enough that it kind of felt like it was its own thing, that it wasn't trying to rehash things about the first one because it took them entirely out of the college element because they were all grown and everything, and a lot of the secondary characters weren't there, like the boyfriends and stuff, which I appreciate. As much as I liked those characters, I appreciated that they weren't trying to drag them into this other story. To me, it felt like there used to be more of a tradition in, like, movies in, like, the 60s and 70s, in, like, American and British and Australian movies. They used to do this thing where they would, like, Britain, for example, did this series called Carry On, and it was about this guy, this family, and they would, each movie was a different thing that they did. So there was, like, Carry On Camping, and it was a whole movie of them camping, or Carry On, and so it was, like, this one group of people and their various adventures, and I liked that that's what they kind of started to do with the third one, where it was this group of girls that we established from previous movies who had this friendship, who had this connection because of their love for a cappella, and we just were taking them to different places and seeing how they interacted with their environment, and while also there were songs. It's not very detailed and complicated, but I think I liked that about it. It was essentially, okay, what do people really like about the Pitch Perfect movies? They like the girls interacting with each other, and they like them singing songs. Wonderful. We can take those two things and essentially put them in different, like, scenarios and see what unfolds.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I would see another 10 of these movies if it was just that idea over and over.
Yeah, definitely.
These group of girls singing mashups of pop songs in various situations. I think that, and I liked that the bizarre nature of the story arcs. The idea that they, like, ended up jumping off a boat on fire. Like, it's weird, just weird, unnecessarily, like, dramatic stuff that happened to intertwine with the mundaneness of the fact that they just wanted to keep singing together.
Yeah.
And the one lady just wanted attention from her dad.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that juxtaposition of, like, really inane, like, normal problems versus, like, these ridiculously over-the-top, like, the fat Amy character's dad trying to kill her kind of thing. Where it's like, that's not even important. Like, that's not a need to be there. But it's really fun, and it balances off the stupidness of the basic story.
Yeah.
Which I really liked about it. So that's why I don't know if I'd put that one as the second. I'd probably put Pitch Perfect 3 as the second best in the series.
Oh.
Even though I really liked the Germans from the third one, and I really wanted the Germans to show up in a cameo.
Ooh, the second one, yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't have shown the Germans as a cameo in the third one, considering they went through Europe. They could have they could have a scene where all they did was stop in Germany, and they ran into the Germans somewhere, and they had, like, another riff off or something. Like, why couldn't, would have been so easier to just plop that right in there.
It was still, I mean, I liked the riff off even the way it was.
Oh,
where
yeah.
They were constantly like, no, you're not following the rules.
Yeah.
No, this is how we do it.
You're not allowed to play instruments. Aw, damn. I don't know. That was probably one of the things that bothered me a little bit about the plot, though, was the unnecessarily competitiveness they made between the groups performing.
Oh.
Like, I get they were like, oh, one of them gets chosen to, like, open for this DJ, which I don't know. Maybe I'm not at the cusp of pop music. Mm-hmm. But to throw around DJ Khaled like he's fucking
Beyonce?
Yeah. Like he's he's the creator of careers. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Like, to me, this is going to be one of those elements of this story that in another 5 or 6 years when we watch this movie, it'll be like, who?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to stand the test of time because it's so referenced, like, so referential to the point that, like, it's going to be one of those. So, like, I think
it's because, like, it's supposed to be where, like, whoever wins, he'll basically sign.
Right, which I guess works,
help
but
create.
He's not a big enough, I don't know, either he's not big enough to me, or they should have created a fictional character of, like, it being a major mogul. Like, oh, this guy's, like, but he didn't have to be a real person. Yeah. Because I don't think DJ Khaled is as big and powerful as they claim he is in the movie. Like, he's a DJ. Even if he has his own record company, is he really going to be making $1 million artists by signing people off of a USO tour? Why would they book a DJ on a USO tour? He doesn't make his own music, he DJs. He, like, remixes other people's shit. Why would you book that as an entertaining act? Like, it's one thing if he's at a club and you're dancing, you don't care what it is.
Maybe it's the generation, maybe
they
everyone knows, in this generation, everyone knows DJ Khaled, everyone... maybe they had a they sent a poll out among the troops and said, hey, who do you want to headline your performance? And everyone said DJ Khaled.
Well, how long has DJ Khaled been around? Because I have only really known about him for the last couple years, and I figure a lot of people who are enlisted probably have been enlisted the whole time he's been famous. Are they really keeping up with pop music?
Probably. I mean, YouTube, there's not a whole lot to do when you're off duty.
No. I don't know. I think that was the element of the story that really bugged me, was the way they handled the music acts. And, like, I get the fictional bands, and they all had a different variety, because they had, like, the girl group, and they had the country guys. But, and the rapper and his friend or whatever. But and the girl group, was it Forever Moist?
Ever Moist.
Ever Moist.
Yeah.
that was a joke that flatlined after the first joke. I was like, okay, I get it now.
Really? I could have watched like 10 more minutes of Rebel Wilson just like making fun of the name.
Yeah.
Where her grandma's in a band, but they're called Never Moist.
Yeah.
Or her butt cracks dry, so does anyone have an Ever Moist towelette?
Yeah. Yeah, they did prove for some wordplay, but...
Some yucks, so...
I don't know, I think the unnecessarily competitive nature between the musical acts was forced, whereas they could have just used it as an excuse to be like, you're on tour with all these different acts, so therefore we get a little bit of different music throughout the movie by other people.
I mean, I almost wonder, though, how much of the sense of competition was because of Aubrey. Pretty much.
Right.
Where she wanted or needed a competition, so when they showed up and they made such a big deal out of it, then
I would have liked to see a plot where because I wasn't mad at the USO thing. It seemed a little like, because seemed really not coincidental,
fortuitous.
Yeah, it seemed really interesting that, like, they get together and, like, we should sing together, and then suddenly she's like, oh, my dad books USO tours, why don't we do... Like, it seemed really, like, oh, that's really nice that suddenly happens to be a thing that they have an option to do, and none of them had a job that they couldn't walk away for a couple of months. Like, and another thing, the Becca character...
I mean, it seems like it was only, like, 3 days, though, wasn't it? Because they said, like, 3 bases in...
Well, like a week or something. But they had downtime, like, to do other stuff. But either way, like, even if it was just a mini break, the scene in the beginning where she quits her job because she can't shut the fuck up really bothered me.
Because she couldn't?
Yes, because she remixed the track by the dude, and he's like, oh no, I don't like that, let me listen to the original, and she puts it on, and she thinks it's terrible, and he likes it. It's terrible or whatever, but he really thinks it's good, and she's like, you hire me to make your music sound better. He's like, but I like the way my music sounds. He's got a point. It is her job as his employee to produce his music to his vision. It doesn't matter if she likes it or not. As a producer, you are producing other artists, meaning you are doing what they ask you to do, and if you really feel strongly about it, then you're doing your best to try to encourage them to see your side of it. You don't just say, your music's terrible, I make it sound better, if you don't like that, I'll leave. No one's gonna want to hire you, Becca. Like, I had a problem with that, which I get she wants to be her own producer, but they never really set up her character as wanting to make music. She wants to produce music. Because she never plays an instrument, she never writes her own songs. She just takes music that already exists and mashes it up. They make that joke in the second movie about the mashups, like, well, you already did a mashup, do something different. She's like, but that's kind of my thing. Which was a funny joke, I thought, in the second one. That idea that, like, she takes other people's things and redoes them, which is fine, because, hello, that's what DJ Khaled does, right? But I don't like that they're, like, finally we're like, well, we want to sign you as an artist by yourself, because they never really give her the back plot of wanting to be an actual artist herself.
No, but I think it's a kind of natural flow for her character, because, yeah, she does the mashups, but then in the second movie, she does help create a whole song.
Yeah.
With Emily, the Legacy.
Yeah. Where
they didn't mash things up. They created a brand new song. Yeah. And so...
But still, someone else wrote it. Which is fine, because there are artists out there who don't write their own music. But, I don't know. I think that if it was going to pushing her into becoming an actual artist herself and singing for herself... Because she had been singing, but just it to help along her producing. They really should have given a moment to her to been like, even something as simple as like, oh, this whole time I thought I wanted to help other people create music. It turns out I just wanted to create music. Like, even something simple as, like, giving her a little bit more of a push to understand. Suddenly, an epiphany of, like, oh, I do want to be my own singer. But they never give her that.
So instead of, like, when she was playing around with DJ Khaled's stuff, like, if you wanted an epiphany moment, or her go, like, I really like doing this. I want to do my own thing.
Or like, why don't I do my own thing? But they never give her that. So then when they give her the thing, when he gives her that a moment of, like, I want to have you come open for me, but just you, she was really quick to turn it down, but I don't think there was ever a thing of, like, does she really, really want it? Or is she just taking this opportunity because it's an opportunity? Mm. And then everyone's like, you should take it. And I think there should have been a moment, even then, of her, like, being like, no, but I want to sing with you guys. And they're like, no, you really want to do this by yourself. And to her be like, oh, I do want to do this by myself. Mm. But I don't think it was earned. But like I said, I have my issues with that character in general.
I guess I didn't catch on to that.
You were too busy with all the singing and the dancing.
Yep. The funny moments.
All the entertainment, the Fat Amy moments. I liked her plot with her dad. I like John Lithgow. He's weird. He's funny. Mm-hmm. Unnecessary drama, which I thought was... But I thought that was funny, that it was like this huge action-y thing that was just kind of in the middle of this movie.
Yeah.
I think it was helped that it was set in Europe, so it had that kind of James Bond feel of being on a yacht in a French coast, that doesn't really, get... in an American setting.
Yeah. I loved the love interest between Lily / Esther or Ethel? Esther. And the one DJ dude.
Oh, when they
the
said,
weird guy.
Oh, he's crazy.
Yeah. Just, hello.
Yeah.
Is it me you're looking for?
So, one of the things, though, I miss a little bit about the sequels about the first one is, you don't really get too much of any of the other girls. Like, you get her.
It focused more on Fat Amy.
You get Fat Amy and you get Becca, and then there's a little bit more of Aubrey because she wasn't in the second one a lot. Mm-hmm. And her trying to win over her dad. And then you still have what's her name because she fell in love with the soldier. Redhead there. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's her name?
Chloe.
But then the other ones don't really have much to do. There's the joke about them knowing the names of the two, Amanda and Sarah.
Ashley and Jessica.
I knew it was something simple. And they're like, did they just say our name? She's like, don't be stupid. Which I thought was funny. But, like, the little bits between they didn't get anything with the Cynthia Rose character. She didn't have almost anything to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the Esther / Lily character... I liked the romance thing, but then the end bit, like, joke where she's like, I'm not possessed. Satan left my body. Was kind of funny in the moment, but really, I don't think was worth the joke. I think they could have done something more with her. Like, maybe she could have said that. They'd be like, oh my god, you talk? And she'd be like, yeah, I just didn't have anything to say. Or, like, they could have made another reason. I thought that joke wasn't worth it. But, yeah, they didn't give too many... So that's the one thing, because there's so many of them, but I would like to see if they were going to keep making movies a little bit more for some of the other ones to do. Yeah, flow. I guess, the second one is good for more, you get more of everyone. Yeah. Because, like, Flo, she had more lines in the second movie, the Spanish girl. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, oh, no, this, oh, this is so horrible. Well, I missed my brother's wedding for this, or I already lived longer than I thought I would, so like, she had those jokes. And, I miss there's the main ones, and there's a couple of ones that left and they replaced them or whatever, but not, like, a huge deal, but yeah, you get a little bit, I liked a little bit more about the girls. Would have liked a little bit more about the girls and their interactions, which there was so much plot in this one versus the last two. Yeah. That you didn't get that much, which I understand, but I don't know. It's a missed opportunity. I think they could have done a bit more. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen, a little bit fuller versions of songs, I guess, right. Where you only hear the other bands do a mashup or the riff off, and then one song each. They did that thing, and they do in movies where they do this a lot in times in movies and TV, where they have a whole band come on, and then they literally perform, like, the opening and a chorus, and then they end their show. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a really thing, like, a big thing in movies, where, like, this entire audience is this huge concert, and the person comes and sings like a little bit, and then like they did that all the time in Glee. And I'm like, nobody would be clamoring to go to the show if it was literally 12 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I get it's USO, they want their entertainment, but I just always think that's funny. I'm like, I'm not saying you have to make us listen to a full song every single one, but they, like, imply that it keeps going as opposed to literally it stopping and then leaving the stage after performing for 3 minutes. Really? That's not how it's gonna be. Is this you? If all of them performed 3 minutes, USO show would be like a half hour.
Yeah. Yeah, they all do one song and walk off, right?
Yeah.
So.
What'd you think of the music choices? Like, did you like the songs in this one?
Yeah.
I liked the Toxic song. They started with it, then it ends with it, obviously. So they're singing on the boat.
The Young Bellas, their song was good. What was it? Something about a Barbie, her being plastic.
I don't remember what song they had. It was a more modern song, but I don't remember.
Yeah, well, because the only reason they were doing older songs was because of Aubrey.
Yeah, but I mean, the song they chose was like one that was on the radio in the year they made it. Like, it was like really, really new.
Oh.
As opposed to like.
Well, I read that actually the maybe it was just with this new one where they contacted artists, like actual singers, and said, "Hey, we need movies or we need songs for the movie. What do you have that you haven't released yet?"
Oh, nice.
And they would get brand new songs. So that's why, like, on the radio, you're hearing songs now that were just in the movie.
Yeah, that
or they're
makes
brand
a lot
new
of
now.
sense.
So the music is more relevant.
The song was "Sit Still, Look Pretty."
Oh yeah.
And then so some of the songs featured in the movie is "Toxic," "Sit Still, Look Pretty," "Get the Party Started," "Shut Up and Dance," "Ignition Remix." Let's see, "Fly Away" by Lenny Kravitz. That was during the riff off. "Call Me," "If I Were a Boy," "Zombie."
Stronger.
"Grenade." Now, X's and O's, which I thought was a good, because the country band did it. They did "Cheap Thrills" by Sia. "Cake by the Ocean." What'd you feel about the final song being "Freedom"? "Freedom 90" by
Clothes Don't Make the Man.
by George Michael. "Freedom, I won't let you down." That song. It's a good song, but I thought it was underwhelming as their final, like, da-da song. Like, they might still make movies, but if this was the last movie, would that be the song to go out on? I don't think so. I think it was a weak choice.
I mean, I thought it was good because she was singing it and, like, I'm trying to remember the lyrics. It's like, "I won't let you down, like, I won't kind of, like, forget you."
Right.
And so she's singing it to them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for everyone else, it was for them.
Yeah. But in all fairness, the final song in the last movie was an original song that they had written, which I thought had a little bit more heart.
Yeah, I would have expected for them to do another, like,
so if they had
song.
set it up where, like, in that scene where she goes into the DJ Khaled's thing and she starts singing maybe like a couple lines of an original song, maybe it could have been completed and she could have sang it, and it could have been the same sentiment where she was singing it to the Bellas about how she's going to miss them and how she'll always be there for them, but she's got to do her own thing. I think that would have been a little bit more
bang for the buck.
Yeah, than just "Freedom."
Well, for her to bring them up on stage and them join in on the song, it would have to be a song that they know already. So
that's true.
They would have lost that.
Well, we're gonna overlook the fact that they're all geniuses when it comes to harmony and part. No, like, they all know exactly what they're doing when they start a song, regardless of what song it is. But they set that up at the beginning during those riff-offs, where, like, all the acapella groups are, like, geniuses when it comes to, like, what part you gotta take and what octave you gotta, like, they all know exactly what it is. Every single person knows, I get to do the do in the song. They just know that that's what they have to do.
Well, I wonder if that's kind of set up beforehand, though, where it's like, okay, you're the bass, you're the this.
Well, yeah, but the Bellas were really good at it, and they were supposedly terrible when they did the riff off at the first movie, right? Because had they done the terrible performance at the fraternity yet in the first one?
Maybe.
And so either it was before they did that terrible performance, or even if it was right after, they were still supposed to be bad, because they don't find their sound until when they're in the pool and they do the Bruno Mars song or whatever. But
yeah,
they all just know exactly what parts. But you're right, I've never done a cappella. Maybe it comes instinctual after a while.
I don't know.
I just feel bad for the ones you, because it's one of those things where you like to think that you'd be like the Becca, but you know you'd be like the Ashley,
Ashley or Jessica.
You'd literally be going tss, 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 for 2 straight minutes while they all sing harmony. All right.
Let's see. I have some. I'm looking at the trivia from IMDb. The film was originally greenlit on June 15th, 2015, due to the success of Pitch Perfect 2.
It was the top grossing movie directed by a woman until Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
People really liked that first one.
Let's see. Rebel Wilson has expressed interest in a Fat Amy spinoff film. Where I thought kind of one of her characters from another movie was really similar.
She does the same
kind of. She does the same kind of character.
She's one of those actresses that does a lot of the same characters, which is fine if you put her in the right situations. Mm-hmm. I don't think she could hold her own movie. I think it would be too much. Yeah. So it'd either have to be a Fat Amy movie that also happened to have someone else in it. Mm-hmm. Or like, I think it'd be if it was her movie, but like some of the other girls were in it, but like it revolved around her specific story, which isn't that difficult. I don't know. They'd have to really do it in a way where it wasn't all her, because I think that would be overbearing.
Yeah, that'd be a little too much.
Yeah. I like one of my favorite parts is all the action scenes. I would like to clock the clear stunt woman in a padding and a wig every time she like did a flip and hit somebody. It was like, instead of being like 5'8", 250-pound Rebel Wilson, it was like some 6'2" stunt woman who was wearing the worst stunt woman padding, like just in the just the midsection, so she had thin arms and thin legs, like they do in stunts. So she was wearing like a body pillow and then like had a blonde ponytail wig, and you're like, oh, stunt woman, that's stunt woman. Try to clock her.
Let's see. None of the boyfriends from the first or second movie are in the third movie. So Adam Devine, who plays Bumper. Yeah. Skylar something. Yeah, who plays Jessie, isn't in it.
Which I didn't miss them.
Yeah, I didn't really miss them at all.
It was the girls' movie. They didn't really need to be there. Their storylines both felt forced in the last one, too.
Let's see. Pitch Perfect, the first one, is the third highest grossing music comedy film of all time, behind School of Rock. Pitch Perfect 2 is the highest grossing musical comedy ahead of School of Rock.
Yeah. So it's Pitch Perfect 2, School of Rock, and Pitch Perfect 3?
It's Pitch Perfect 2, School of Rock, Pitch Perfect 1.
Oh, where's the third one come in then?
They haven't done that yet.
Oh, okay.
It's not done in theaters, so they're still waiting.
Oh, I thought you said that this was the number 3.
Sorry, I was off mic. I think I just forgot to specify that it was the first one.
First one. Why is that trivia on the third movie then?
Because I don't know.
It was the third movie trivia. That's why I thought it would have been the third movie.
Don't hate me, Anna. I'm sorry. The character Chicago, the love interest of Chloe, is a nod to screenwriter Kay Cannon's former hometown.
Alright.
And that's it.
Oh, did you point... I was sitting next to... When we saw it, I was sitting next to Danielle, and she pointed out that in that flashback scene where it's a young, fat Amy, she's wearing, I want to say it's like a My Little Pony or something shirt, but it's from, like, now. Oh. She's wearing, a My Little Pony shirt. It's a modern Friendship is Magic version character, which wouldn't have been around in the 80s.
Wah, wah. Yeah. I slipped up.
Danielle turns to me because she's got a little girl, and she says, my daughter has that shirt she's wearing in the flashback scene. I was like, it's just a costumer's, mistake.
Yeah. Someone didn't catch it.
I still think that the first movie had better songs overall. I liked the final song, like, I liked all the songs mashed up in the final performance. One of the things I like about the Pitch Perfect movies is the mashups, so that's what I go for. Oh, okay. I like to see the mashups. Now, I'm not opposed to them singing one solid song all the way through, but the mashups are the entertaining part. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why maybe...
They didn't do those quite as much. No, it was more just a single song this time.
Yeah, or they did like the montage where it was one song, but it was them singing it in multiple places. Mm-hmm. And for being like not officially a support, like a because in college they were an activity, so I assume they got university funding for costumes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But for just being random girls in their own lives with probably their own cash, I don't know if the USO gives the money for the intricate, beaded, detailed outfits that they wore in that movie.
That is true, yeah. All of the outfits were like, yeah, spend some money on those.
Yeah, right? And
where'd they get that?
I don't know about the rest of them, because they all seemed relatively successful with the exception of Fat Amy and Rebecca, who were the two that, like, because the one...
Well, I mean, Becca was a movie producer, so...
She was a music producer, but she had just quit.
Music, not movie.
And then, so maybe she did have a little bit of money, but they were all three living in one apartment in New York, which I get it's expensive to live there.
Mm-hmm.
The one was still going, or she wanted to go to vet school, or she wanted to go to...
Vet school, yeah.
So she would have to be paying for school. And then Fat Amy was just peddling on the street, right? She was just barking, so... She didn't have a regular job, did she?
No, she wasn't like a gambler or anything either. What was her...
She was just partying and, like, obviously she had family money, which we find out, but...
She didn't know about it, though,
That's
so I
true.
don't know if she...
They never set up how her family... Well, her dad was a con man. That could be how they had all that money, but...
Yeah. Well, it sounded like her mom had to, like, put it aside...
In a trust.
Separately, yeah, so I don't know... Yeah, you don't know what her mom did.
No. Which I like that the weird air of mystery they always had around her.
Yeah.
As a character of, like, why, like, what her deal was, and now...
Yeah, how does she know karate
One
and
of
all
my
this
favorite
stuff?
scenes from the first movie, which wasn't even a big deal, but was kind of an interest I liked a lot, was when she notifies them all that they got a spot in nationals or whatever the final competition was, and she lets them all know, and so it's all of them in their regular lives. So the one girl's gambling, the other one's at like some like
Skate park.
park rapping. She's at like a pool with a bunch of people. Like, I liked those little moments because it get an insight to these characters of like what their real life was when they weren't together.
Yeah. So I guess it does kind of set her up for having money because she was in a mansion pool.
Yeah, yeah. So she would have known people even if she herself wasn't super rich. Well, that's another thing I liked. I liked that they were the setting of the third one. I liked that they were like, but at the same time, I would have liked a little bit more of like what they had all been doing since they graduated college and how their lives had been treating them. Like, they give you a little bit.
I thought it would have been a little bit more like that before the competition.
Right. Well,
From the trailer and stuff, that's what it made it seem like.
And they set up that thing of the two weirdos who I like. I think they're really the two...
Gail and,
I think his name is just John Smith.
John?
Yeah, Gail something. It's like a hyphenated last name.
Yeah.
And then John Smith. Gail and John, and I think... Like, I liked that, and I like those two weird, and they just get weirder and weirder each movie that they're obsessed with these groups. I liked that, and I thought that them recording them was going to come more in handy, or was going to be more of a plot point than just having an excuse for why they're there. But I don't know if that was intended and maybe just got whittled down through editing, but...
Maybe.
But I would have liked to see a little bit more. I'm kind of hoping maybe if the DVD comes out, maybe there's more... Maybe the extras are like...
Deleted
scenes. Or like the deleted scenes are the documentary. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it would be funny if they did like a whole like 10, 20 minute of the Bella documentary on the DVD. Where it's like the actual documentary that they made.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
That'd be cool.
Because I like you got a little bit of that at the end during the credits, but I would have liked to maybe have the credits on the side and have the actual documentary going. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been cool. Add a little bit more of the humor.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. One thing I found is the first thing I typed in Pitch Perfect 3 into Google, and the first thing that came up was this article about how a critic believed that Pitch Perfect 3... was nothing more than 90 minutes of Pentagon propaganda.
Okay.
So, have a little bit. It's from news.com.au.
AU's Australia.
Australia.
So, according to Australia, it's Pentagon propaganda.
Yeah, apparently. Yep. Let's see. So, writing for Medium, that must be the magazine, Caitlin Johnstone said she wasn't expecting a masterpiece, but I also wasn't expecting to be blasted in the face with 90 minutes of blatant war propaganda from the United States Department of Defense.
I imagine if you're a foreign country, it's hard not to, anytime any government is mentioned in an American movie not to feel like it's, like, trying to beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
We probably give off that appeal, I think. Like, give off that when we make movies.
Let's see. In her scathing review, Miss Johnstone argued there was no reason whatsoever for parts of the film to be set on U.S. military bases. There was nothing about the plot of Pitch Perfect 3 that required this. Any music tour of any kind would have worked just as well. The antagonist had nothing to do with the military. The protagonists were a civilian a cappella singing group, and the general conflicts and resolutions of the film were entirely uninvolved with anything related to the armed forces of any nation. Johnstone wrote that the military was glorified in Pitch Perfect 3, which was filled with handsome, sexy servicemen, non-stop saluting, flag-waving, and patriotic thank you for your service lines. You cannot possibly pack more glorification of the U.S. war machine into a movie if you tried. Dang, she's going after it. From top to bottom, a sequel to a popular movie about an all-female singing group was built to normalize the globe-spanning war machine that is closely approaching $1 trillion budget and recruit teenage girls into its ranks to be used for slaughter and destruction. God.
Well, she's really drawing a lot of conclusions from this.
From the movie, yeah.
Okay.
Now, before you write Johnstone off as a conspiracy theorist, there is some truth to her claims that the film was propagandistic. The makers of Pitch Perfect 3, like any movie makers who wish to use toys from the military or film on actual bases, had to get permission from the U.S. Department of Defense. So I guess apparently the first thing you have to do is send in a request for assistance telling them that you want what you specifically want in the movie. Ships, tanks, planes, bases, forts, and when you want it available. Then you wait and see if they like your script or not. If they like it, they'll help you. If they don't, they won't. Almost always they'll make you make changes to the military depictions, and you have to make the changes that they ask for or negotiate some kind of compromise, or you don't get the stuff.
Okay.
Then, when you go to shoot the film, you have to have what she calls a military minder, someone from the military on set to make sure you shoot the film the way you agreed to.
Okay.
And finally, once the movie is finished, it has to be screened for and approved by the Pentagon bosses.
Right. I'm not at all surprised the military makes that much detailed, restrictions for when you film. Yeah.
A lot of studio heads tell their producers, we're not going to make this film unless we get military assistance because it could be too expensive
to recreate
otherwise, to do it on their own. From the military's point of view, they claim they just want films to represent what life is really like in the Army, Navy, Air Force.
Right.
Philip Strub, who is the director of entertainment media at the U.S. Department of Defense, told The Guardian in 2009, our desire is that the military is portrayed as good people trying to do the right thing the right way. We want the equipment to be operated in a way that's more or less the way it would be, and for servicemen to act towards each other and others the way they would in real life. But Johnstone, the writer, clearly feels the makers of Pitch Perfect 3 went too far to appease the military. I love Pitch Perfect, she wrote. To take that and twist it into another advertisement for a bloodthirsty, child-killing, empire-building war machine was all kinds of heartbreaking to me. Dang, that's it.
Okay, so I have opinions on this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I completely understand where she's coming from. She's an Australian writer. I can't speak to any knowledge of how the Australian military runs, but I can only imagine, being that they're not American, that their armed forces aren't nearly as... They don't spend nearly as much money on their armed forces as America does, because America has the biggest military budget in the world, right?
Yeah.
Our military and the money we spend and the focus we have on it is overwhelming compared to other countries. So I completely understand why, to not an American, it seems really crazy that you would take a general movie like this and have to plot it around something that is essentially only exists because of war, right? So I get where she's coming from. However, maybe it's because of the separation of because we are American. I personally, I can see where she's coming from, the idea of glorifying war. I'm not a fan of it. I think we spend too much money on our military. That's a whole other conversation. However, maybe it's because we're Americans and because military and services are so prevalent in our society. Like, it's everybody knows someone who's in the service. It's very much something that's constantly in our lives and what's going on with service, things like that. We have TV shows and movies that revolve around it.
Yeah.
That because it's so prevalent in our society and our pop culture, I personally, but I think it's refreshing when it's used in a story, but not in a common way. So, like, I'd rather see the military or whatever used as an extra element, as a kind of aside, than every single time you see it, it's just because it's a movie about a war or a movie about veterans. You know what I mean? Like, the idea that they're involved with the military, but not because they're in the military, because it's the secondary. Because they're right, like, USO was created to entertain these people who have signed up for the service. It's not a political element of it. You don't go to the, USO tours aren't there because they're supporting war. They're there because
to support the men and women that are
because
there.
they recognize that the people who are joined up for whatever reason, used to be you didn't have an option. Now you have the option to enroll, but sometimes people don't enroll because they believe war is good. They enroll for whatever reason they have. Some people really have nothing. They have to go and join a service because it's the only way they can get a job, they can get money, they can get a skill. Right?
They can live somewhere, they can get fed.
So the idea that, like, everybody who agrees to sign up for a service, Army, Navy, whatever, are doing it because they think war is good is ridiculous. And people who are going to sign up to entertain these people are doing it because they recognize these individuals are doing something that's bigger than them, and they need entertainment, they need something to take their mind off the heavy strain of what their job is. And so I don't think it's warmongering at all to be like, these girls just happen to go and sign up for this thing that entertains people who are in the service.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's a very American way of looking at it. Maybe to an outsider who's not American, it seems like you're just enabling something terrible.
Yeah, you're glorifying or showing the ritzy life of the military.
Yeah, and I get, like, where they're coming from, that idea that you have to jump through all these hoops when you want to use the service, the U.S. military in your movie. And I get why they do it, because they want, for publicity's sake, they want to make it look like a good place because they want people to keep joining. If you showed them the Bellas going and singing and everybody looked terrible and it was violent and angry, then people wouldn't want to join the service.
Yeah.
So I get that, and that's a little bit frustrating because you're like, well, if you do too much of that, then people aren't realizing what they're getting into, because it does look like it's nothing but fun all the time, even though, I mean, if you're smart, you realize you're still signing up to go to eventually possibly go to war. Like, that's what you're prepping for.
Yeah.
So if you don't know that's what you're getting into, you should really read the fine print. But I get why they want it to look a certain way. I get why Hollywood has to play, because you can't recreate a military base accurately.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're not the only people that do it. Apocalypse Now, very famous 1970s movie set about Vietnam, was filmed in the Philippines because the president of the Philippines, Marcos, said to Coppola, if you bring your movie here and get us attention and get people talking about the Philippine movie industry, we will give you our military service to use. So they didn't have to, like, get old, people who had old Vietnamese, like, army planes and stuff like that to fly around. They just got the Philippine army to pretend they were at war, and they filmed it. And in case something else happened and they had to leave, so it was essentially like, that was the reason it was filmed there, was because they could do it for so cheap. So, and the Philippines only did it so they would get attention. So we're not the only country that uses those services in our entertainment.
Well, I mean, I don't see how it was glorified either, because, I mean, you never see anyone fighting. You never see anyone, like, shooting. It wasn't ever, like, oh, we're here doing this, or,
Yeah, they're not even in the Middle East. They're in Europe.
Yeah, they're in Europe.
Which we don't have any current wars with anybody in Europe.
Yeah, so
it's just bases.
Yeah, I don't see where that
I also think there's
writer's coming from.
There's a misconception with other countries, and again, I'm not trying to justify it because I'm probably not as anti-military as you can get, but I'm pretty far up there. But I think there's a misconception with other countries about what other elements the U.S. military, like what other things they do, because there's so many people involved in so many aspects of the military that it's not all just for one specific thing.
Yeah, it's not all just war.
Yeah, so there's other things they're doing. Well, there's things like the Coast Guard that goes out and gets rescues for people. There's things like the what's the one that's part-time that they call you up?
National Guard,
where it's supposed to be meant for when there's a state of emergency. So there's a reason there's bases throughout the world and not just in countries that we're currently at war with.
Yeah, it's so you can be deployed and get shipped somewhere readily.
Yeah, and I know it all comes
quickly.
down to, again, it's the only reason the military exists in case of times of war. But we've gotten to a point as a society where we can't just turn around tomorrow and get rid of our military.
Yeah, there's so many people that rely on that.
The only country in the world that doesn't have a military is Costa Rica, and no one ever fucks with them because they don't really... No offense to Costa Rica, they don't really have anything that people want. They don't have a lot of land, they don't have a lot of power, they don't have a lot of substance, like, they're not exporting a lot of stuff, so there's really no need for anyone. But if someone...
They don't swing their dicks around and get into trouble.
But if someone... Even Canada has a military, because they know, hey, we like everybody, we want to get along, but we've got to be prepared.
We got to do our share if we're gonna...
So while I see I see that Australian writer's point, I think it's a little bit... presumptuous, and I think it's a little bit like extreme of her to be like, it's ridiculous that they glorify a baby killing warmongering machine.
Yeah.
Because again, and it goes back to that not blaming people who sign up for the service.
Yeah.
It's not a political statement. Most of the people I know who've ever gone to the service aren't the kind of people that think we should be fighting. I bet if you polled people who were in the service, people who were not in the service, should we go to war? I bet you overwhelmingly the people in the service are going to be like, no, we shouldn't. Even though if they were told they had to, they would, because that's what they signed up for. But I don't think that's what they want to do when they go in.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
But people sign up for it. And again, growing up in a place where we had the country, a lot of poor people, a lot of people who, like, didn't really know what to do. So when they graduated high school, they were like, well, I guess I'll go into the service, because... it gives you some money, it trains you a skill, it gives you, because I couldn't afford to go to college, or I didn't have anything I wanted to do, and I couldn't make money, or whatever.
Yeah, I need skills, It's
not a political stance. It's not like I'm joining the service because I think war is good.
I'm gonna go kill some Arabs,
and
or whatever.
And that idea, it was...
Very rarely do you get that anymore.
It's that train back from back when Vietnam, when people assumed that everyone who signed up for was drafted into the service... wanted to kill babies. No. They didn't want to do it. In fact, that's why a lot of them went to Canada. They didn't want to go to a war. They didn't have a choice. And even now when they...
the soldiers were blamed or spit on when they got back.
And it's like, that's ridiculous to be taking out... because you can't decide what your government does. Obviously, we've learned, and very much so, that we have no control over what our government decides when they want to do something. We can't talk them out of it, so... I don't know. I think they're being a little heavy-handed with that idea that this... And I don't think the movie set out to do that at all.
Not at all, no.
I think they liked the idea of the USO theme. And I think that's the reason they went with it.
And we had kind of talked off mic about this, where it's like, what other competition could you have where they got to travel to Europe for free?
Yeah, do you think there's a lot of a cappella group tours going around Europe?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. They're not in college anymore, so it's not like the Nationals again.
If they did do another movie, I would like to see them, like them doing they want to maybe, like, it's set where, like, acapella, like, college acapella and stuff has gotten really kind of dumb, like, or not dumb, but, like, nerdy, like, and people have, like, shunned it and it's not a big thing anymore.
It's kind of like dying out, so they gotta bring it back.
And so the Bellas decide they're gonna start a tour of a bunch of other a cappella groups, and they're gonna be the headliners because they still have clout or whatever, and it's them taking around a bunch of newbies in other groups. So you have different types of a cappella groups, and they're kind of fresh, new ones, and them trying to take them around and teach them, like, the ropes and stuff. And then you could have more interactions between the Bella characters and other characters in the a cappella universe. In the Aka universe.
That'd be neat. I think they did leave it though that this is the final one, that they're
Yeah.
not doing another one.
Well, they're all grown up and they're gonna be in their 30s soon. These characters, so there's only so many excuses you can have for them to get together and sing.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was better than I expected it to be.
Oh. Overall, I loved it. So
Yep.
nothing was really connected too much, but I kind of liked that where it's just the ridiculousness of everything going on.
It was just the Bellas singing songs in a different environment, and I'm all about that.
Yep.
Mashing it up, mashing it down. That sounds gross.
Yeah. It does kind of.
Mashing it up, mashing it down.
Spreading it all around.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter jelly. Sorry, that's an inside family joke. We have a tape.
Peanut butter jelly.
No, we have a tape of my older cousin when they were younger. Mom would babysit them, and she'd usually film them doing whatever. They were usually like dancing or singing or doing a goofy little magic show.
Yeah.
With like camera tricks, just like turning the camera off and having someone move out of the way and then turning it back on, so it's like they disappeared. One of them, my cousin Alicia, was singing. She was randomly just like, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, look at the sky. It was just like 10 minutes of her just like bringing up different things, like, how do you make a jam sandwich? You take 2 pieces of bread, jam them together, peanut butter jelly. She's like, submarine, peanut butter jelly.
Yeah.
So
Kids are creative and weird.
they're goofy.
Goofy.
All right, well, we can, if you don't have anything
Final
else to say.
thoughts. No, again, I'd see another Pitch Perfect movie. I'm on board. I'm on the Anna Kendrick train. Choo choo choo.
Choo choo.
I've seen worse with her. Probably will see worse later. So
Yeah, I haven't seen too many other movies with her.
she was good in Into the Woods.
Oh,
Cinderella.
right. Mm-hmm.
That movie. I mean,
Maybe she'll just do more musicals.
maybe she's a singer.
Or she does have a good singing voice. Maybe she'll become a singer.
Maybe.
She'll-
I'm surprised she hasn't released an album, but there's still time.
Mm.
She's no Haley Steinfeld.
I don't know that reference.
She's the young one, the one who came in the second one, the music.
Oh, Emily?
Yeah, and she's an actress who became a singer, and then is an actress still who sings.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
she got an Academy Award nomination when she was like 11
Whoa.
for the True Grit remake.
Huh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Fun facts about Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
No relation to Jerry Seinfeld.
Speaking of Jerry Seinfeld, if you want something silly to watch on Netflix, it's Comedians in Cars
Getting
Coffee.
Hulu?
And it's Netflix.
Oh, okay.
But it's Jerry Seinfeld, and he like interviews and hangs out with other comics
And they drive around in classic cars.
They drive around, they go to coffee joints.
Did you see the one where he interviewed the president?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Well, not the current one, the former president.
Oh, no.
They can obviously have a rule where you can't leave, so they just drive around the White House
The circle.
parking lot,
Just
and then they get coffee at the White House in the cafeteria because they can't leave.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, well, I haven't seen, I've only just started watching that.
Oh, okay.
so-
Well, you'll get to that one. But
Spoiler alert.
sorry.
From Anna.
We all remember Barack Obama, right? Because he was president. Spoiler
Hey,
alert.
Obama.
Hey, Barack Obama. Hey.
Hey. Okay.
Until next time.
Donka, bitches.
Donka, bitches.